What's up, all you hitchhikers? Welcome back to another episode of The Strange Road.
Hello.
I'm your host, Mikey. This is the bro host, Bub. And as always, we have the magical wizard, Stoner, producing and making all this stuff look good.
Yeah.
And special guest tonight, back in Master Control, Matt Disbro, back
Master Control,
working working the faders, helping us with audio tonight. Super happy to have both those guys helping us out, making this stuff look great, sounding great. We have fantastic. First of all, Bub, how you feeling?
I'm great.
Feeling great?
Yeah, the
you excited
nice
for this one,
dude? You kidding me? Again, it's like I've got to wait on these episodes, so because I want to do them right. I want to get in on it. Like I just want. It sounds greedy, but I want the conversation.
Well,
like I live off of good interaction and conversation.
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie. I need that.
There's not going to be a lack of that tonight.
That's why I'm jazzed about it.
Yes, absolutely. And we have a fantastic guest virtually coming into the show from Costa Rica.
Hello.
And this
Wonderful
is
place.
our friend Luvia, who we met through Ancient Echoes, David
Absolutely.
Lonebear Senepass and Jacqueline Senepass. We helped them out with an event in Maine almost 2 years ago. Oh, maybe over 2 years ago now.
It's been a minute.
And we were fortunate enough to come out to Maine and help them out with an event. And Luvia was one of the artists coming from and basically spoke and did a musical demonstration into the show, right? From London. And that was one of the first times that we had really tested this type of system that we use now for the show. So we're coming all full circle.
Yeah. Using all the tricks in the bag.
Yes, absolutely.
To put on a really cool show tonight.
Yes, absolutely. Back then, her name was Emel Michael. And Luvia is an author, sound healer, and musician, overall artist, and does so many amazing things. Super talented.
Yeah, you're gonna find out here if you're watching, and it looks like we've got some people in the chat already. So
hey, what's up, everybody?
Already. So you're all in for a really fun episode, and we just can't wait to get at it. So.
Shout out to all you guys, and I wanted to welcome our guest. Oh, do we have something?
700th subscriber. I told him I was giving him a shout out. I should have put up the screenshot, but Ziggy Dan came through.
Ziggy Dan,
Ancient
Mysteries.
I'm just keep getting blown away. I was like, we're at 400, and now I'm like, man, if we can make 700,
we
and
were
I'm
at
like,
300.
my brain doesn't even think of it until I do, and then I really get stopped, and I'm like, man, it's so cool. It's really cool how many people are, ostensibly are enjoying this format, what we're doing, what we're putting together, and how we're doing it. So
and it's been fun for us. So we'll keep doing it if you guys keep enjoying it. So
yes, we will.
Without further ado, I want to bring our guest in, Luvia from Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
How are you? It's been
Hi guys.
Yes.
Thank you for a wonderful and amazing introduction, and hi everyone from around the world. Congratulations on finding these guys. I'm so blessed to have met Mike and Bub and watched their shows and been inspired with all the other speakers, and it's wonderful to be here and to share with you with like my journey, and we're all on the same page. So
yeah, we've been, like I said, Mike, are you excited? We've been excited, like I said, since we got it on the books.
Yep.
It's like, yes, it's gonna happen, because it can be a tough process, especially you're in another country, right? Like you could be in the same state and it might be difficult. So I just love it when we can put all these things together and really make these happen. Like you said, full circle. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. And you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? I mean, going back to your journey and how you ended up in Costa Rica. And we haven't known you too long, but in the times we've watched you and just your journey, it's been incredible. So we'd love to kind of let our audience and everybody know a little bit about your path, really.
So I think a lot of what had happened to me started in 2015, and it was my spinal injury and triggered by a motorbike accident, and on top of that, something else that happened, and it happened in threes, where it put me in a place of like no escape, but trapped in a body where pain was the only thing that I could feel, and that in itself birthed the awareness of pain as a teacher. And then like kind of having to, as a singer-songwriter, stopping my journey, you know, like what else can I do? It's like a 360. And I was shown a vision, like you're on one of those tables in a you know, Chinese a restaurant, and you're passing the sauce around. I was literally just swiped around, you know, and I understood that, okay, this is something that's happening, you know, I have to now face this new direction. And I let go from the poor me and started changing my way of thinking and writing poetry. And the poems were like, how do I think of this thing that's happening to me and think of my way out of it? So you started where you are, you kind of enter the story, and then there's like a resolution and a conclusion, and you find your way out. And I ended up writing quite a lot and drawing a lot during that time. And that's when I realized that I was becoming who I was meant to be. Yeah, that's kind of how it started. And then it sort of carried on from there and up until 2018, which I can get into.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do. Please do.
Well, okay. Well, guys, I'm sure all of you have been through some sort of trauma, and a lot of that is kind of like karmic related. So one of the things that I got is that your karma is kind of like your experience to be resolved in this life and in this body, as your soul has incarnated. If you are open to that fully, that your body is just the temple which houses the soul, which has gone from one place to the next, you know, the spirit of matter. And then for me, it was like, I'm understanding that if I work through this karma, which is the name of action, how can I change my action towards it? So if someone is negative to me, how can I then think differently to then resolve it, you know? And so during that time period, I, you know, was going through a lot of family issues, which is what many people have gone through. And I, you know, love my family and all, but everything and everyone is a teacher. And I remember going to women's circle quite early on, and you know, I went for a reading and met this amazing woman called Suzanne, and she sort of said, "You're not here for a reading. You're here to remember who you are."
Wow.
And then, yeah.
Wow.
And I sort of looked at her. Okay, I'm listening. And she said, "Your ancestors are here. Your grandmother's here. Many women in your family were healers. Is that right?" I said, "Yes, it's true. My great-great-grandmother was brought up in Cyprus, and she was the town's healer. She would work with apparatus. And this apparatus was apparently a knife, a black knife. She worked with metal, and she would put it over people's heads. And there would be, my grandmother would tell me the stories. There'd be queues of people waiting to go for treatment. And then my question to her was, did you learn this? Answer, no. So it's always been there, you know, like the magic and the mystery of why your hands start burning randomly, why you feel pulled to this spiritual aspect of like, and when you know, you hear these stories, oh, they went to someone and they had Reiki, like, oh, I'm interested in that. Why is that? Because it's been in the family. And so, you know, after the reading, Susanna said, "Would you like to go to a women's circle?" And there's me thinking, what is this, witchcraft? I'm not interested.
Right. That's what probably would come to my head too. Yeah. Back in the day.
Circle. Yeah. You know, the pagan aspect. But I thought, you know what? I'll go. So, you know, I went to my first one, sat there with there was 6 of us, and in her front room. Had a cup of tea beforehand, just maybe a couple of candles and a few crystals on her table. And then we work through grounding ourselves and opening through our chakra systems. So it was mainly like visualization of these colors opening and expanding through the room and out the room, you know, working our way through this process.
I like that.
And rooting yourself, you know, like a tree would, and beautiful visualizations. Okay, I thought, I can do this, going through the motions. And you know, there was a lot of stuff that sort of she walked us through, cleaning the ocean, was one of them, working with a dolphin, and then sending love and healing to family members. And then at some point during that session, the woman who was holding the space, she just changed her demeanor, sat back slightly differently. And I'm like, what's going on? You know, why is everyone holding their hands out, facing, you know, this lovely lady who's meant to be, you know, someone who's holding the space for us? You can only imagine, like, you're very naive to all these things.
Sure.
And then she starts talking, and her voice is different. You know, she's like, welcome, my child.
Whoa.
Directly at me, but her eyes are closed. She goes, we've been waiting for you for a very long time.
Boy.
Okay. And she said that you have many gifts. In time, you will learn how to use them, and you will advance quickly. However, you won't learn them all here, my dear. I'm so glad you are here, and what a gift it is to have you among us. And a word of advice, do keep your mask on. And I was like,
what?
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sure you're getting there.
You know,
yeah.
I know what you're thinking. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. I'm sure everyone else knows as well.
Yeah.
Could it be that, or could it be the mask, or in disguise? Who knows? And after that, I'm looking at all the women, you know, and eventually the room changed, and she just sat back up and was normal again, but she had this constant hiccups. I thought, okay, this is interesting. And then okay, I went home, and then the thing that she said to me before I left was, do your research. It was Thoth. Cool. That night I went to bed, and then I dreamt that I was in the desert, and a figure was walking towards me with the wind and flames. And I'm like, I'm looking down now. I'm on the desert ground, and I'm looking upwards, and all I can see is these feet walking towards me, and just sort of the glimmer of the flames. Wow. And then I felt an arrival and a presence, and it felt like it was Thoth. Like, who else could it be? And then I began my research into this ancient world. I'll hand it over to you now.
Wow. I mean, we literally just talked about Thoth on the last episode.
Right.
You know, on the last Strange Happenings, and it wasn't about Thoth. It just kind of got brought up because it reminded me of, I won't go into it, but this is something I've been looking into for a while now. It's very hard to crack into, because when you first read the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the Atlantean, or the Hermes Trismegistus, the Greek writings, they're all the same guy essentially, and even potentially Quetzalcoatl and Viracocha, and these are all, you know, whether it's Enki in Sumeria, but you start reading about the halls of Amenti and under the underworld essentially, and basically the universe is mental. And that is the overarching theme throughout the entire thing. And the more you read it, the more it really starts to kind of, you can't explain it though. It's written in a way. And I don't know if you have any historical chunk of like the history of the Emerald Tablets. I'm not sure if you've looked into any of that, but it's a very kind of shadowed history. Is it legend? Is it historical?
Oh, is it actually rooted in actual history? Like, are they actual
the tablets? Are supposedly real,
right? That's what
I've heard. And on artifact that is currently missing. Well, we don't know where they are. Some people say they're on the right paw of the Sphinx.
It's probably the same people that had the Gilgamesh tablet.
Yeah, Emel, do you have you heard similar things, or do you have anything else to add about the historical aspect of the Emerald Tablets? Thoth the Atlantean, basically, is what he's referred to.
Yeah.
As.
So the Emerald Tablets does talk about where he had left the teachings under the Sphinx, the temple that I'd builded, and where the ship is, and that he will be back to return, and with all the technologies that are there to be used again, hopefully that haven't been abused, because if they are, there'll be consequences. It's kind of the gist of what part of the Emerald Tablets had said. So when I understood that there's the language of Thoth and looking through the crystal links, which house all the tablets, that I was able to put together an online document and source and study with scriptures of past. And it started to resonate with me, the Anunnaki, the Sumerians, Atlantis, which is also a connection of my past in Egypt, and which is where all ancient technology is. Frequency of sound, which is hence why I'm a singer. This was then started to register. Then there's something that you've forgotten, and I started making a document and started linking like the spiritual teachings, and they were all based on the universal links to our soul connection, to the spiritual, which forms into the physical. And there's another video of like the sky disc, which is very similar to what I'd seen in my dream. So I was having these dreams of seeing these ancient technologies, and then finding out that, for example, the sky disc was a map that measured the stars and the moon, and it was used. And that's how I discovered that. So the key was I had to go back in time to remember. And Thoth has certain elements and kind of like instructions to follow. And I thought, well, let me do this one prayer. This is when I realized it was real, because it's easy to read something and assume, and you just got to kind of go down the rabbit hole and choose to open your mind and not be skeptical all the time. The answers will be revealed if you're willing to accept them.
Right.
And so this in 2018, I did this prayer, and the prayer, I haven't got up, but it was along the lines of, surround me with thine light and to remove the darkness within. And that was kind of like the prayer. And you say certain words, and you call out to Kutar, Chital, to the certain teachers of that time. And I did. And I did a circle with crystals in the dark, arms up in the air, and then took the instructions, and then went to bed. And then the next day I went to go for a job interview, got all my stuff on, took my smoothie. And as I picked up my smoothie, this pain just hit my chest. And I put my drink down because it was like a shudder. And I had to stop what I was doing. I thought, what's going on?
Oh boy.
Picked it up again, and it came again. Boof. I'm like, fell to my knees now. I'm like, holy crap, what's going on? Am I having a heart attack? Am I dying?
That's a strong coffee.
Right, I didn't even have a coffee. Then I just woke up to go to the job interview. So there's me ignoring it now, and then I'm trying to leave the front door, and I'm dealing with this pain, and it's kind of moving. I'm like, this pain's moving. This is weird. What is this? And then the thought came, you did the prayer. What did you remove? What have you unleashed inside of you? There's a stagnant energy that's been released. That's what you've done. Isn't that what you wanted? And this is the prayer. So anyhow, in the end, I went to the station, like trying to go into London Underground, and I'm like on my knees, and people have come around me, and like I've never had any health issues, thankfully. And this was the first time I realized that something seriously wrong. And I went home. But then I realized throughout the day that I was feeding this thing, it was moving down into like one side of my body, then moving around to the other side. And the last place it left was my chest, my heart. And I remember that I understood that I'd removed something. So the prayer was to remove anything that's stagnant, and it left me eventually. Then the other stuff started coming through. It made room for other things to start happening.
Wow.
That's amazing. That is incredible.
So it's true. Yeah.
Wow.
That's wild.
That was just really like some kind of energetic, cloudy, dark, just mangled up energy that was trying to leave your heart chakra. And once it was gone, it just opened your whole world up.
Yep. It did something. It removed it. And that's when I started having the like telepathy coming through. Finding like Pantera, which is about being sovereign, like going into the realm of being sovereignty is also another aspect of really identifying with true self. And then I went back into Egypt. I ended up going through a hole in a wall. And I noticed ornaments, tall pillars that were standing alone from the ceiling, and they were in 4 posts. And then somehow, I'm in this room, and the tops of the pillars were glowing with a lightish blue. And then I realized life in the room is alive. And I walk up to a wall, and it's like a mirror, and the wall speaks to me, and it seems to be conscious, like liquid, like malleable liquid.
Whoa.
And then it asks me, "Am I Emel?" ? I say yes. The wall seemed to absorb my name, and again Emel was resonated back at me as if to confirm, and it kind of activated further, like it was waiting for me. And then I turned to face another wall, and that was also the same consciousness, that my name flew out, and then it came through me. So I was like, I arrived in Egypt. Like there was something there, from Thoth to remembrance of Egypt. There's something happening here.
Wow.
And then that was something, I looked into what those pillars were.
Right.
Was it? And then I found it could be Osiris's chamber or something.
Wow. Was it the halls of Amenti, or something? We
it
actually,
could have been the halls of Amenti.
Yeah. Because that's basically like so Thoth was essentially a being that lived according to the king's lists and some actual physical evidence of things that we really have that they say is myth. And these kings lived for thousands of years. And in the Emerald Tablets, it talks about what we considered technology now of transferring consciousness into a new body. So it's not like Thoth's body was constantly dying, but him as a being lived on for thousands of years, started Egypt from the fall of Atlantis, built the pyramids, cached the Emerald Tablets.
Spirit.
I mean, they found the Emerald Tablets in like the 1920s. So the White Brotherhood is the story, which is connected to Madame Blavatsky and Charles Ledbetter and like their whole group from. And VJ was talking about how in South India they have one of the earliest theosophical societies in India, and they were pushed to go find the Emerald Tablets, and they had found that they were in a Mayan pyramid in the Yucatan.
Wow!
What?
And that these folks, they're called the White Brotherhood. Look into them.
I need to check this out.
They're basically like,
that's cool.
The folks that Madame Blavatsky's group started that turned into this, what they call the White Brotherhood. And they were tasked to go to Mexico in the Yucatan to track down the Emerald Tablets. And that's where the later transcribing of the Emerald Tablets themselves comes from the 1920s. So these guys went and found this. The writings that you read and the books most of those transcriptions are from this 1920s group, from what I understand.
Okay.
Because they really found them, supposedly. And then they got lost in the 1930s, 40s, like I said, World War II.
Hobby Lobby bottom.
With who knows? It's
with the Epic of Gilgamesh and all the other.
So where they returned back to the right paw of the Sphinx. That's what the myth. When the White Brotherhood was done, they returned it back to Egypt. And so, the story goes is that Thoth, the Atlantean, moved all his top level priests, and they all went to the Yucatan and Peru and central Mexico and shared all of this information with these cultures.
Tour. Yeah.
And the Emerald Tablets were given to them, and through thousands of years, the Inca, the Maya, and the Aztec all developed.
I would love to get a copy of that.
But Thoth, those priests, Viracocha could have been one of Thoth's priests. Quetzalcoatl could have been one of who really knows?
Well,
it's just really fun to think about.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
And you got to think how crazy those pyramids are and the similarities of everything.
Yeah.
And you said you had researched the documents, Mel. Is there anything that stuck out with what you found in some of those?
Yeah. I mean, I put this document together. I'm more than happy to share it. But when I was looking into the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, I was looking at the names. That it was important to understand what the names were. Unal, I think, was Egypt, and he talks about Undal or something.
Yes.
And then the 10 kings before the flood. And then I looked at the Sumerian tablets, and there's like the 10 kings list before the flood. I mean, that's a link.
Right.
And then he said the three that came could be Anki, Enlil, you know, and Ishtar.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the ones who went to the three corners and were meant to help humanity. Was he talking about them as a coincidence? And then he was always going on about how we are light in the spirit body. He also talks about a true vibration. And this is what switched me into looking into what is frequency and what is vibration. And it's a sound that can pierce through anything that's negative, and it shifts it into a positive. So you can use sound as a creational field. If you look at the Egyptians, they had the tuning forks. They understood what alpha and omega is. It's all about creational energy. So I kind of put that together. So the Emerald Tablets there's many teachings in that.
I was going to ask you about, so with the vibrations and frequency and that ability to pick those certain ranges or frequencies, our bodies being constructed of atoms, and if we go into that very basic, you know, there are atoms that are moving very fast and then dense atoms that are very closely clustered, like our bones, etc. So when we use these techniques or these sound therapies, can you target different kind of densities of the body through that? You know, I mean, that's so wild. You ever think about that?
Just I have. Yeah.
That's awesome.
You can. I'm still feeling that there's much more that we yet to discover. But from what I've deciphered and I've put in the book is like little keys. So like, for example, to get rid of like heal, hate, and impatience, working in your lower heart energy, you would need 552 hertz.
Oh, okay.
Which is, to help worry and anxiety, which is usually based in the imbalancement of like your spleen and your pancreas and your stomach, which is known as the solar plexus, which is like the color of yellow. That would be 528 hertz. And I've deciphered all of these frequencies down so you can play them. And this is what I've realized, like, it's not just about singing lovely songs.
No,
sound is actually so much more.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I just got the instructions to put it together and wake up to it. And I think when Thoth mentioned about the frequency of like the white wizard or something, the true frequency that will reveal the darkness of, say, the negative forces, that's when it got me. I was like, I want to know what this is.
Incredible. Yeah, and it's something that is an unknown technology, I think, for us right now. We think of songs, you know, you bob your head, you dance to. I've had experiences where I've had the understanding, and it took me a long time to really understand and I still don't understand, but I know that there's a certain type of flute playing that is absolutely interdimensional in nature and is not music in a sense. Like, it's not music. It's something completely above our understanding in those frequencies and what they're doing in this kind of 3D world.
Yeah.
I would like to think that, like, I'm sorry, Mel. Go ahead.
Go for it.
No, I was going to say what you're saying about those frequencies, the image that just popped into my head, and it's going to sound stupid, but the whole Kung Fu Panda when everybody's fighting and he has this ability to just tap these different centers to turn you off and on, and hearing music that you don't really consider music, but when you really start understanding what it's doing to you, when those tones are going and you're like, why are they just playing the same tone? But then they introduce the next one and you feel it move. You get that when you really start, like it's almost like you're saying too, of putting real intent and practice into the, I don't want to, what you say, a prayer or the ceremony you did to, you know, really putting intent into it. And, really going all the way with it.
Absolutely.
You see, one of the things that I realize is the ancients knew about the flower of life.
Mm-hmm.
In the Japanese culture, they've even got the flower of life under the dragon paw of one of their temples. There's like the flower of life in like Egyptian temples. You look at the Mayan temples, they've got windows that represent three in Egypt, three here, 0.3 is pi, is a divine measurement to all things. The three is a triangle, making the flower of life. They all understood like these main principles of creational sound, working with the Earth's frequency, which is 4.82 hertz. And I'll read a little thing like that I'd written, which is measurement of all things is within and around us. What if how we see things may have more of a dimension to it, such as a tortoise shell has a pentagon shape, isn't by chance that it links to the building blocks from bone to tissue, from petal to stalk. I questioned my wonderment about how the flower may connect to the building blocks of the human form, the way we are made in likeness of plants, and even how it can even affect our thinking. What if the primary foundation of life has a perfect measurement in its shape? How a human is shaped is also in the geometry of a flower, insect, crystal, or tree. See it as a creational principle that every builder has to go by to get the arrangements of each brick in place. Think of each brick as a building block of an atom. What if you could learn how to understand these measurements to see how all things are connected to a blueprint? Does that seem too far-fetched? Does it make sense? Let's go down the rabbit hole. And so I go into a bit more depths about that.
Oh man, sacred geometry is an absolute rabbit hole. I mean, it's, and how it relates to sound is the one thing that you can really only kind of see, literally.
Well, they use the
visionary
sand?
state, see the connection with sound and sacred geometry. I mean,
no, you can use sound frequency and use
the
those
cymatics.
tables. Yeah, where they have sand on top and they turn the sound on and it makes the flower of life or whatever geometrical pattern.
Metatron's cube.
Oh, the tesseract. Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of, again, we have such a grandiose view of how we think of our position in the world, right? So when you say something that breaks us down to the significance of plants, like there are people that are like, that's crazy, but it makes sense.
Hang on.
But it makes sense.
It does.
That's what I'm saying. In the terms of, if you actually look at what she's saying, like a blueprint and a structure, we see it replayed and replicated over and over. It's almost like shapes. It's like just flashing in your face the whole time.
Perfect shapes and perfect measurements.
Right.
I mean, look at like the structures and the earthworks and stuff in Ohio. They're all circles and squares and octagons, and it's just this like on earth, mathematically perfect. The geometry to the connection with heaven and earth,
right?
And these numbers and shapes,
for sure, the numbers
that's such a mystery. And through sound healing and sound therapy, you're probably really tuning into this in terms of like going through these ceremonies and helping people through things. I guess my question is, what's some of the things here recently that's brought you to Costa Rica, and has that kind of leveled up your understanding of a lot of this stuff that you've read about in the Emerald Tablets and so forth?
So before I came to Costa Rica, I had no idea that this place existed. It was my partner who was the one who asked me 2 days after I've written this song called The Life. I had like this download of these words. And he asked me, would you like to enter a competition to help a fundraiser for this retreat center that I went to, the one that I said that I want to take you to? I said, of course, let's do it. And ended up doing a music video for it, finished the song. They did, they published the whole thing, got a compilation of other singers to take part and everything. And I'm like, I've never won anything in my life, so whatever's meant to be. And he was like, we're going to win. So we did. We won. And that was it. The invitation to fly over there was open for us to go in June. And so we ended up going. I ended up recording one of the songs I'd written. And then 3 days up to our stay, an ayahuasca vine was going to be cut, and it wasn't the season then. But it was just unusual. And I thought, of course it's unusual. It had to happen because maybe I need to have the medicine, and I've worked with herbs, and Earth is saying you got to take this stuff. And, started my first ceremony. And then the plant medicine is so intelligent that she eases you in to yourself, to start seeing deeper into your body and taking you slowly out of the mind, and then puts you in a certain state. So I was in a state of joy and happiness and bliss, listening to this music. There was nothing much being shown to me until the second ceremony, which was like 3 days after or 4 days after. And that's when I'd been shown that everyone has a voice. There's blockages within us. I can move those blockages through my hands, also using my voice. Then I realized that the teaching was from the day we are born, we're fine-tuning forks. And as we grow, we inherit disharmonious frequencies through trauma. And it becomes a memory, like a crystal that's embedded within us and is put in places that we hold, which can either show up later on physically as an illness. But the medicine showed me that this can be removed through sound. And then she was like, you can take this energy from someone, but know that if you take this energy, you'll have to remove it from yourself. And very funny sense of humor as well. It's almost like there's a thought that's going in your head, but it's actually you are talking to the higher aspect of yourself. And I ended up doing some Reiki from a distance with one of the girls who had issues in her womb, and I was showing this is where she's got stagnant energy, and I was taking this frequency or this energy using my hands, and then with someone else, and I was just taking it in, and then I ended up purging.
Oh wow.
And the purge was the dark sticky stuff. And I was being shown, this is what it feels like when you take in all the burden of everyone. Just choose your battles, but you can do this. But then sound and frequency and sound work was then the mission. And I got the directive. It was like, this is now the journey to also implement into your book, show people how they can do it themselves and how you can also be of service. And you can't claim it. It's not yours to claim. Because the moment you start to label and claim it, it will leave you.
Or try to kind of make money from it in a way, or like start charging people, or in some sort of way. I don't, you're claiming like, I'm powerful. Look at me.
Yeah, it's just,
I can heal.
Right. Like you are not a healer. You're just a tool for someone to help themselves. You're just like to teach someone to be a wizard. You are also the student forever, and that's what I got. And yes, you can ask for donations or a fee, but you got to work with like compassion. You got to have that self-awareness of not to abuse that, that you've been given.
Right.
A lot of people don't understand, like, to provide a service like that, it's like, oh, well, you shouldn't charge. But there's overhead to run a facility. There's people you have to hire. There's things that supplies of herbs and sage and different materials, and you got your singing bowls and your flutes. It's like,
you can't do it all for nothing
unless
and go
you're
hungry.
living right. Exactly.
You got to still take care of yourself to be able to provide that service. I don't think anybody would begrudge that kind of
and I would happily
model.
pay for those services.
Yeah,
we pay to go to doctors. We pay to go and do a lot of things. We go to the dentist,
pills,
eye doctors. Yeah, So I totally get what you're saying in terms of once you start abusing that, you know, you hear about like Buddhist monks that can levitate and show, it's like these myths of monks that are able to do these amazing things. But as soon as they're filmed doing it, or as soon as they're told to start showing other people they can do it, their power's gone. All of a sudden, I can't do it anymore. They can't do the demonstration.
Maybe it does work that
pulled
way.
From them.
You know, maybe it's one of those, you know, it's not meant to be able to be, you know, maybe in the need of time, of essence, you know, we have these acts of people getting in car wrecks or somebody lifting something extremely heavy off of someone and doing amazing things where I'm sorry, but even adrenaline doesn't explain some of them, right? It almost seems like you are Neo or whatever character manipulating the Matrix in some of these aspects. But again, people in those moments aren't thinking, I'm going to look really cool lifting this car off of this person. They're acting in the way that you're kind of saying. It's channeling that energy in the right aspect of like, it is needed, it is being used, but it's not being kind of flaunted. But in certain instances, maybe we can see it a little more, right?
What's interesting is like I've had Reiki in the past. Like I'll read you a little segment that the entry of 11/11/2017, and I had a Reiki healing session that had lifted my consciousness into another reality, the timeline of the same existence, in line with where I was on Earth's timeline. And I was sitting, and as I was receiving the healing, I saw myself meet the healer in another place. No objects or form but us in the same space, as I was elevated in her presence, and I heard and felt her spirit welcoming me there. And then when we, for example, for that's a segment to say that when you receive actually a true form of healing from someone, you end up learning or remembering an aspect of yourself. And then after, even I think before that, I had a Kundalini awakening, which was with a partner of mine. I had been celibate for a long period of time, and something had been released from my spine. And during that period, I was put into like a bubble of light, and it was just humming. And it took me by my right hand, and it wouldn't leave me. And I just sat there sweating, whilst this release of energy was sort of put me in a space.
Right.
That was sort of early March, and then from that time, then came the 20th of March of 2017, Thursday, and between the Thursday of the 23rd, there was like a DNA activation had kicked into motion, which meant that I was neither here or there. I felt like dizzy quite a lot. So if you're going through an expansion, you might feel a little bit discombobulated because your body is alchemizing in some sense. And then not long after that, I had the dream of meeting this being who put me in a space where it wasn't Earth. And I started hearing like words in mid-sleep, and they were coming to me, and it went like, we began with a nation, a race of people had existed once before man, star children, a dawn before man existed, a race. And then since the dawn of man, we were out here, and embedded within us was an activation of what we know as the Holy Trinity. The code of our existence was based on this within. What is within is without. We co-create. We make our existence. And I looked at my hands, and they were like light. I was just seeing my soul. In awe of what I was seeing, I heard Star Child. And then like I have a drawing of this. And this is kind of what led me to meet David. Because I was looking at star people and this kind of stuff. So just by having the sound healing, it recalibrated me somehow into a center of finding my soul signature. And then sort of after that, that's when I started hearing, I documented on 2019 that your frequency carries your identity with a vibration which is unique to your geometric pattern. You do not need to name it, but if so, then will carry a frequency. So your name will carry a frequency. The word thence is the vibration to the form and being. that of which is said before travels through the space between which we cannot see. What might that be? Vibration. This was like 4:30 a.m. Started remembering stuff like that and coming through. And then I, on the 4th, 25th of 2019, every journey that one experiences comes at a certain time. It can't be forced. There is no rush, but to allow the awareness to grow. As of when it should be revealed, you have already come so far. And
that's really good.
And then
really good. Jeez, it's really good.
And the web that connects all timelines, anchoring to allow the gateway portal to access that time of existence. The web that connects all timelines, anchors to allow the gateway portal to access that time of existence. Look at the Egyptian stone walls of them accessing portals of time. So you'll see them probably with the cone, or the Sumerians with the cone.
Yes.
And you have different planets.
Right.
Yeah?
Okay.
So indicate in planetary images that galaxies are within reach. All points of access are run by the keepers of time, or have passed down knowledge.
Right.
To help rebuild timelines. To create a new timeline, a web of existence to anchor must have a primary event. For example, if you want to put fear into some mass of people, that will be a primary event.
Boom.
Or you want to create peace, you make the biggest, loudest noise of peace, and that will enable the timeline to anchor. So the secondary web can be hooked, which will reroute the energy around the main corridor of time. So primary events can be public or private events, and are events through which the course of history is affected. In order to anchor a new timeline, it has to be onto the planet. There has to be a mass event taking place. And then, and the Maya knew that one day their knowledge keys would be uncovered and discovered by the family of light, knowing how to insert into the variable of electromagnetic portals. And this kind of goes into their knowing, and how Thoth is tied in, because he talks about the keys of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, I'll just read out this little bit. In 2021, in May, humanity has to change. Earth becomes one color. Communication through symbols. Name to change into a symbol. Find my name in a symbol. That was before, I was given my name. That's quite a lot that I've read, so it's probably a lot for everyone. I hope that makes sense. And rewind, playback.
Wow.
That was great.
I mean, when you started talking about webs, it just really, really, really hit me from, I can't get into a whole lot of the personal experience of it, but I just want you to know that someday I want to talk to you about my experience with this web that you refer to. And it is, when you really see that, then to me, at least at that point in my life, I can date back and literally point to that moment of exactly what you said, of this anchoring moment, where I can point so many things back, including this show and this company and my life and my family and everything that's happening now, to that moment and experience with these webs. And again, it's you said that, and I just started getting this kind of discombobulated feeling in my head, and it's I kind of feel like I'm gonna pass out right now, but you got to keep going, Emel. Luvia, sorry. But again, this is bringing up a lot of what I want to say is it's resonating. I will just say that.
Yeah, you're hitting it on the head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Wonderful.
But, I'm fascinated to hear more about, like I said, sound has been for many years now, just a complete mystery to me. I try to learn as much as I possibly can about it. I've experienced weird things with shamanic flute playing and, through meditation and, even kirtan. I listened to a lot of Krishna Das and Sanskrit kirtans over and over again when I was in school. And
shot a live stream of it.
Yes, we did.
We did a live stream.
Yeah, our friend Roa, who
amazing.
It was great.
Created our logo and is tattoo artist and created our painted our set, helped us design everything, and is one of our great friends.
He's great.
But he had that little event where we went down on live stream kirtans. Yeah, it was amazing. Then we were all up there like dancing and singing with them. It was like
awesome.
we're the camera crew
at the tattoo shop.
We were out there.
It was great.
Yeah.
Like, what is
well, there you go.
Right
that
now?
was that's a catalyst moment right there.
Yeah.
That you can point a lot of stuff back to. And that was in 2020 when there was like nothing really going on. All of our work was gone, but we started the podcast and had a little bit of gear, and we're doing some virtual events and helping out the folks at Serpent Mound.
Yeah.
In particular, since you've been to living in Costa Rica and working at this center, is there a moment early on where you started kind of participating in ceremony, helping out in ceremony? And I don't know if you really can talk about or want to talk about any of those experiences since you've been where you are now.
Yeah, so obviously apart from partaking and sitting in ceremony, I have facilitated, which means that I'm a space holder by using sound. And this was the chance for me to actually sing and use these frequencies. And I was doing it at 2 a.m. so I was pretty tired at the time. So I managed to sing some mantras and say a few prayers which people had felt, and it was very healing for me because I'm living life through their eyes. We are all one. And one of the things that I had given before, while sitting in space, like not singing for anyone, but just for myself, I was always being shown that we have to remember the songs of the stars. So what does that look like? How does that sound? So it's like deciphering, how that is, how that works. And then if I look back in 2019, when I was spoken to by this tall being with white, hair and had a silver disc on his head, I realized that he was teaching me about sound, and the sound was coming from the stones that he presented for me into, that were like, ooh, ooh, ooh. Then turned around and said, now do the same for people. And they were all twins, identical twins, and they were very beautiful, unusual looking children. And so it reminded me as actually I can try to really define this sound and give people some, I don't know what to call it. I don't want to claim it or say that I know any better than anyone.
Sure.
But I just try to do my best.
Right.
And sing. And I ended up doing that, and then having someone who actually sat in the Ayahuasca ceremony, they wanted me to like take a boat ride and do a sound journey for them. I was like, okay.
Wow.
Must have worked.
That's cool. That's really cool.
I want to go on a boat ride and have a
sounds intense. Sounds intense.
Out on the water. Could you imagine? Wow. And so does someone go with you and the person that goes on the boat ride as kind of like make sure you guys don't, I don't know, like tip over in the river? Or?
No, I as in like they were like, we want you to come round and meet us, and it was just for me to get from A to B.
Yeah.
But I did hold a psilocybin ceremony with them whilst I was out there on the beachfront as well. So that
Amazing.
was another space for me to do that and get everyone to say some prayers and connect, because as soon as you sent precedent of like the intention, which is what we do for every ayahuasca ceremony, that you invite the vibration of what it is that you want to feel. Everyone has an intention, and you always invite the space of happiness and kindness through the realms that we're in, so no negative energies can kind of like come in.
Wow.
So that was one of the things I got to experience through my learnings from 2017 till now.
Wow. Incredible. And honestly, I'm kind of like itching a little bit to hear Emel play.
Oh, I thought you were going to go the other way with that.
Music.
Yes, that I agree with.
Yeah, our sound check. I had to go to the bathroom.
He
so
didn't
I
listen
missed
earlier.
It.
Yeah, I've been spoiled already. It was great. It was awesome.
Kind of just preface, but Emel is amazing enough right now. Is gonna play some music for us, and like I said, this stuff is music, but it's not. It's so much more than music. It's this weird interdimensional frequency is sound and light.
Well, it
and
resonates
energy,
with you.
And it's everything.
It resonates with you. You can feel it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I was thinking this earlier with music, right? And knowing that what we listen to on the radio and what is the pop music standards and what frequencies and hertz those songs are played to everyone.
440.
Right. They changed that.
They changed
for a reason.
Yeah. To 440.
I don't particularly listen to the radio. I listen to
David
How do you change matter? You change it by vibration and sound, and that imprints a certain reaction, right?
Right. That's what I'm saying. I find it all very suspect now, and that's why it's interesting because I don't really listen to the radio, but it just made me think.
Have you ever heard
a lot of
Kanye West talk about the 808?
I just saw that today too.
The 808 beat, and that's lower vibrating energy and frequency, and he's coming out talking about, purposeful, like throwing that 808 frequency in line, and you don't even know it's there. And it's affecting people, and it's huge in the recording industry.
Between that,
who knows? I'm not in that world, but I mean,
just one quick
Kanye's
side
a bit
between that and the Sam Smith thing.
Got a bad rap right now, but
oh my god,
like
the
devil thing,
Grammys.
I'm sorry, but like when people see that and they're like, "Oh, that's cute and fun," I'm like, "That's cute, wild that's on TV right now."
To me, I'm like,
I feel like a 95-year-old man.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that is wild.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense to me. It's, it's that whole play of it's right in front of you. They openly do it right in front of you. Like,
that's fire.
A little creepy.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's weird. But enough of I diverged too much.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, I mean,
I agree.
Thank you.
That's, we're going to hear the flute, correct? And
yes,
I thought it was wonderful.
I was about to say, I wish we had seatbelts for these chairs so you could hold on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I invite you all to close your eyes.
Okay.
Game on.
Close your eyes and hands down and relax. Like, allow your body to completely sink into the space. And start to tune into the sound of your breath. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Feeling into all the sensations, feeling into all the thoughts, grounding your feet, feeling your body on the seat, or if you're lying down.
To the people from the people of the blue world, we send a message for you and greetings. We have been watching over you from afar and helping you find a way to have peace on your world. Your world has been changing over the last 83 of your years. It has been hard for us to see you are so close you cannot see your world. You have so many wars and spiritual conflicts. It is hard to find what is real. We have sent many messages over the years to help you to be clear, for you to see us as we are. We have been here for a long time. We have been among your people. We have come to share our knowledge to the star people, hoping to activate the ancient ones that are still slumbering in their sleep, slumbering in their sleep. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
That's pretty impressive.
Wow.
That was wild.
That was so cool. Man, even... Yeah, thank you so much. That was incredible. I mean, that was
I feel like I just took a week's vacation.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
I wasn't expecting the singing bowl. That's...
Surprise!
Right? Yes. Thank you. Oh, man.
You're welcome. You're welcome. There's other techniques that I do with the bowl.
Yeah.
That when I sing with the bowl, there's a third tone that's created through the sound waves, which I do online or personally too.
Wow.
No, believe me, I was picking up on that. I am a lifelong in a family of musicians, played music, written
Bub's a really good guitar player and singer and songwriter.
Wow.
It's one of my ADD.
Nobody knows this, but Bub is the man on guitar, specifically acoustic guitar. And at some point, we're gonna have him play for the Strange Road.
But hearing that vibrational, because you could hear the little like hum. That's what you're saying. It does do something, right?
I'll show you. Do you want me to quickly show you?
Would you? That's so cool.
Please do.
So I'm coughing because I was breathing in a lot of dust here.
Oh, no.
Okay, I'll give you like a few seconds demonstration.
Cool.
Hopefully the audience can hear it.
Yeah.
If not, I will release something so you can capture it.
Cool.
Closing your eyes.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's really cool.
Was it me or was the color shifting in Emel's room when she was doing that? I don't know. It was like you were changing colors or something when you were doing that. So you're like harmonizing as the bowl's going around. You're using your voice to, I guess you would, is it harmonizing with that frequency, or
are they like kicking
it's
back
kind of like
off
searching for the. Yeah, I guess you could call it that.
Okay. I haven't. So there's a few instances, and of course, the Strange Road and our crew has shot a few different, not lots, but a decent amount of crystal bowls over the years, different artists, and everybody does their a little bit differently.
Sure.
In 2018, Kyle and I did a really cool event, Tribalize, with our friend Chris. And we were tasked the one day, there wasn't a whole lot going on, but they just wanted we were doing live streaming, and we had a dot crew out there. But there wasn't any room for cameras in this little space where this sound healer, she was working with crystals and giving people crystals, and then sitting in this small room where she had several bowls going, and she invited Kyle and I Stone and I to sit down.
Absolutely.
And it was incredible, because when you're working around it and you're not really tuning into the crystal bowl, the music, the sound, but she invited us in there and laid down, and actually came over and selenite, these huge selenite wands. And that was kind of my first real introduction to singing bowls in that sense. It's just incredible. I mean, what that was is something completely unique, Emel. I don't know if you can dig any deeper into kind of how you channeled that.
Yeah, it was what happened. It was a particular day, and I just felt quite meditative, like no mind, nothing. I sat in my bedroom in North London at the time, and I think I was chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo with my partner, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, which is the chant of the lotus flower, and Buddhists chant that regularly. So I, after that, just got the bowl and started hitting it, and then just going, ooh. And then as I was doing it, I could hear this additional sound, and it put me in a state, and I was like, what's this? Let's go in and figure it out. And then I realized that through sound, you're accessing waves. It also helps brain waves, gamma, theta, beta, alpha. Your brain is tuning into these hertz, these frequencies, which is created by this additional sound from the action of hitting the bowl to the invisible wave of which interacts with my voice. There's like a middle thing that's happening,
Right.
And I feel like within that realm, I can insert a thought, which is, accessing a quantum field.
Oh, wow.
And giving that an intention. So I'm giving that an intention now. I'm changing my electromagnetic field with the field of what this wave is doing, So I'm giving it that, and I'm just putting it out there. So I feel like is also part of playing with it.
I was going to ask the sample that you gave us, right? You were saying earlier about kind of cataloging and figuring out what frequencies to what correlation. The one that you just did, I don't know, is there a pattern design behind it? Because I was just wondering of where I was actually hearing it in my head, but where it was like registering within my brain were two different things. I don't know how to put that. Like the tones and frequencies as you would change them. Yeah. It was really cool.
Where were you feeling it?
Makes perfect sense.
I mean, directly in the center.
Yeah, that's where I was like,
right. It was almost just like a clarifying, like cleaning out the cobwebs of the mind.
Between here and here.
Yeah.
It was very like...
It was cool.
High
so
resonating.
It could have been between 720 and 852 hertz.
Okay.
And I tend to work with 40 hertz, which breaks down gamma. Is it what's it called? It breaks down a certain binding and knotting of the brain, which dissipates Alzheimer's.
Oh.
And also, I think gamma biotric acid is found in a certain herb, which I talk about, and also gamma amyloid. That's it. Is disintegrated with using 40 hertz. So
Oh,
it does do, certain hertz do help, I
unbinds
guess,
it.
activate
Well,
that area of your brain.
think of
This
it this
is
way.
wild.
Think of it this way. I'll go medically with it, right? So,
yeah.
and I'll go to her point. Former life, I did work in medicine, and we would do therapy on people that did have, in this, when people get large DVTs, deep vein thrombosis, you get a blood clot in your leg. Typically, they give you a medication to anticoagulate that, or you can do that, and you can do this instrument that is basically like a soaker garden hose that you thread through the clot, and then it vibrates. And what it does is it unbinds and unwinds all of the fibrin and fibrinogen that's building up to making that clot, right? And helps the medication soak through it even more. So there's a little credence for the fire.
Right.
Right? To unbinding that with just frequencies alone,
Sure.
there is actual scientific data and medical use of that in practice.
I love that, Bob. Oh, great. I love that you did that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
And I was also going to say, if you have a ceiling fan anywhere on the property that you're at, if you don't, this comes from playing guitar on my front porch and noticing over the summer, if I had my ceiling fan going, the actual sound waves go up and get kicked off of it.
Yeah.
And you'll get a natural tremolo. So you get this
sweet.
Because I was like, am I okay today? Like, I feel like I'm not hearing things right. And it was a hot summer day, and I'm playing guitar, but every time I'm strumming that, the sound's going out, and the fan is chopping it up in front of me. And so I'm hearing this and going,
I love that.
this is a natural, tremolo. So if you have one around, or if you have a ceiling fan on the property, try that sometime with your bowl.
I wish I had a ceiling fan right now if I'm sweating.
Because it will take those tones and it will.
You poor thing.
Oh, yeah. Beyond
Costa
that,
Rica, everyone Emel is just unbelievably hot.
all I can think
And
of is
it's
warm
just
much.
the humidity in Costa Rica has got to be
toasty.
unreal. But
I will
thanks for
try
hanging
the
in there
fan.
with us.
Yeah, I would be interested because
pleasure.
I think it'll give you another aspect of taking those tones and even going another route of like adding in that chop to where they're going to get these intermittents almost where it's really going to, I don't know, maybe stand out even more, like, because
Love it.
that's wild.
Yeah, that's so cool. Bub, I've always seen you as kind of a shamanic guitar player. If there is such a thing, you're it. Because you can get into those higher spaces. I know people that can't play music when they're in kind of these elevated states of consciousness, but he turns into this like almost like Jimi Hendrix, but acoustic guitar.
Wow.
Where it's just coming from some alien place.
What's your biggest
And
gripe?
he'll never, ever play the same song that he created. We've
Not
never,
twice.
we didn't have recording devices.
No.
Just gone.
I've lost
into
hundreds,
the ether.
hundreds
No,
of
there's
songs.
songs that are literally the best thing I've ever heard that we'll never hear. No one can ever hear again.
I appreciate it.
In that moment, it was just like, if this was recorded,
Yeah, I would say
it would
tuning
be
in and being able to like that
huge.
empathic side and being aware of that in the moment of like, say if we're having a campfire and we're all kind of just, in that space of like, we just want to hear some, but
it was always around a campfire.
feeling
The
that
fire
energy of whoever's in that space
was a
too.
big
Like
part of it.
I kind of identify with what you're saying as being a space holder. I totally understand
You
what you
are
mean
that.
when you say that.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're a running a circus, but you feel like a ringleader almost. Like you are kind of
Yeah.
directing a lot.
I'll tell you what. I'll just tell you a story real quick. Our friend, and I won't mention his name, but we built what we called Stonehenge at our friend's mom's property.
I was going to say Stonehenge.
And we
Madness.
we called it Stonehenge. That we built this fire. We had two fires,
The
one
fire
up by the
pit.
house, and then we built Stonehenge down below in this kind of valley.
Yeah.
And it's probably
Amazing.
50, 75 yards from the house.
Yeah.
And that's where we ended up building this
And it's in
ring
nowhere.
of cinder blocks.
Yeah, it's in nowhere.
Started this huge fire, and our friend was like kind of tiptoeing around the cinder blocks on the fire, and Bub hit a chord, and he literally fell in the fire.
And he kind of said that I
He
made him
fell.
fall in the fire.
He goes,
or that I
"Dude,"
made him like almost
totally
jump in
burn
the fire.
up his Cleveland Browns hoodie.
And I was like, I wasn't trying to do that, but what I was seeing
He
was
like rocked him somehow into the fire.
I'm a pyromaniac. I like fires. I love campfires. I think there's something very
Agreed.
primal about it. Like
Yeah.
the sun keeps us warm. Fire, keeps us warm, protects us, gives us light, cooks our food. There's such a correlation of a deep-rooted attachment to fire.
Oh yeah.
But being around it, what I was seeing was, at the time, it was just engulfing all the wood and it was just growing. But I was playing music to what was happening to that.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like I was directing the fire to keep, again, I have I'm a giant Peter Pan child. I have an active imagination.
Into the fire.
Like matter with your thoughts. Everything is energy. It doesn't mean it's not separate from you. We separate things. It's just a natural thing we've been taught to do.
Right.
Yeah.
But in that moment, that's what I was doing. And then, he kind of went, and I mean, I immediately stopped playing guitar. I was like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And then he got out and kind of explained.
Well, if you clap in the stones of Avebury, the kind of link to Stonehenge, you clap or hit stones that go ping, 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 ping.
Sure.
And what they used to do is they used to make music and it would travel around and around.
Right.
Everything's and then it would exit. The electromagnetic field would exit. So you obviously created like an electromagnetic field.
Yep.
With the sound, and 100%. It knocked your friend.
Absolutely, and that's the only thing I can think of before, he was nicely just dancing around this cinder block outer ring of the fire, and then he just stopped and went whoop and just fell right in it, scared the hell out of everybody.
Yeah.
And then later that night he took off his watch and threw it in the fire and said, "Time is a waste of time."
He was having a lot of epiphanies.
Whoa.
Yep.
A lot of epiphanies.
That was one of the best lines of all time.
It was funny.
Brand new watch, throws it in the fire.
Oh. This is key. This is also technology that we've forgotten. So you were accessing something. I've actually written about it in the book. You can do something to help yourself with using that technology.
Oh, cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I can't wait to read that.
Yeah.
I need to get a copy
absolutely.
of that. Well, it's not out yet though, right?
Well,
yeah, it is. It's only digital download. You can download it.
Okay.
We have links, everybody, for Emel's social media, of course, but then also her book is linked in the bio. If y'all want to check that out, it's I know we're gonna grab it.
Oh yeah.
For sure. And I know you talked a little bit about your book when we were on the phone, but appreciate you going into that in more detail and kind of the story behind how all of that came to be. And this has been, it's been a different conversation than the ones we've been having with folks lately. I mean, there's definitely overlap.
Oh,
a ton of overlap.
VJ to the it really seems like we do it on purpose, but I think it just is like this synchronicity of how our shows keep falling into place of who's coming on, and we're like, but we just kind of it's got this centripetal force that keeps rolling. Yeah, you're like, well, I guess I'm just rolling downhill with it. I can't fight gravity on this one. That's great.
Right. And
it's the time of what we need to be shared, I guess.
Yeah. And VJ actually, I mean, come to think of it, we were talking about a lot of this stuff with him.
Kundalini and
VJ
chakras, and
he's on a journey. He's grew up in India, lived in Ohio for 3 years. And that's how we met him. At a Serpent Mound event. Our friends Tom and Terry from Alternate Universe Rock Shop outside of Serpent Mound had these events, and they lost their events during COVID, so we kind of stepped, kind of like we helped David and Jacqueline and Ancient Echoes
in that space,
help them through the pandemic, continue to reach out to folks and get their having their get-togethers, outreach to their communities, and
still be able to present.
VJ was the very last. I mean, this storm rolled in before he came, before his talk. That was absolutely incredible. Our little pop-up tent with all of our camera, our switcher, our sound gear, everything. We had water coming in the side of this tent. It was unreal. I mean, my laptop, that Dispro's actually running our audio from right now, is the computer that I think some of those USB ports are fried because it got totally wet. And I took Tom's leaf blower and just and blow dried my computer dry so we
what we should do? Just bring like a 50-pound bag of rice on gigs.
Yeah.
That we have in an emergency bag for anything gets wet and just right into the rice.
Well, hopefully we just have a better pop-up tent next time.
But you can also eat the rice.
But cover all four corners.
Yeah. And VJ coming from India and growing up there, when he came to Ohio, he went to Serpent Mound and then was just blown away about this is a yogic temple to Shiva.
Yeah.
The 7 curls of the serpent. This is a representation of Kundalini yoga.
Yeah.
And went on this entire total spiritual journey. He's been going to temples all through India, looking at his ancient language of Tamil, which is the oldest language in the world, next to really like Sanskrit.
Yeah.
There's the Tower of Babel story is connected with his heritage in South India.
Yeah.
And all these words in America and
that are
South
basically
America,
Tamil words.
North America with the Hopi and the Maya and
you remember
all
what he said
of
though?
these words.
How weird it was that he came to the U.S. and then he got awakened. Mm-hmm. He was in India, surrounded by all this, and seeing it in another instance and being, brought face to face with like, oh my God, I'm seeing home across seas. Like, what is going on? It opened his mind.
He talks about sound and the Tamil songs.
Yeah.
Have the power to heal and fix all the worlds of the problems, all the problems of the world.
Yeah.
So those ancient songs literally are encoded with all of the answers to all of our problems. And that's one of the clips that we have on YouTube is him talking about that.
I'd love to see that.
He's great. You
one
should
of the
check
older
him out.
interviews.
I think you two would have a lot to talk about, actually.
For sure. Definitely some major overlap there. But it's all connected.
It's all connected. It's interesting. You mentioned 7. I've had this dream of a book with a key, a code, and it was about ancient instruments. And I was one of the the elders, and there was another 6, wherever they were. I don't know, but we had to protect the book because it felt like we were hiding things, and it was around the 18th century. Which was
Wow.
So, and it was like, and then if I look back on the 18th of 2018, I wrote something like Nostradamus numbers 5, 22, 25, 27, 11, 9 will reveal the truth. 7 men, mine in the Middle East, when they are announcing war. The Abbey CHRI will be revealed. Letter A connects to this man. Has a connection to the Holy Land born, February 1962. 16th of the 10th, 2025, serpent will rise and fall. Floods go too high around September 2025.
Ooh.
I was like, okay, I'm not sure. But there's no fear in that. It's just whatever came through.
Right.
And then lastly, coming 2019, we are all coming into a place of peace. And so in time, the other energies that are waiting to come in will do and shall work and will do, and we shall work with them in harmony, seeing all things in dream state. Dream book will reveal details. Third eye, imprint, seeing the Sahara being imprinted like a scorching spark of purple on my crown, not long after my May 17th performance. Enoch, Keepers of Time, 4 major timelines. Poland, Canada, and China. 6 major grid points. Peace. And then, so that's just random stuff that I jotted down.
Wow. Yeah, we need to get you to Serpent Mound. I really just got a hit with something. The September 20th or September of 2025, your message about the serpent. I would love to get you one of the Tom and Terry's events, or Jeff and during the summer solstice. So cool. Or we've got to have you come and hang out to Ohio, because I feel like
that would be great.
Tom and Terry's events, they have elders from all over the world. The Maori will be there this spring for the spring equinox
from New Zealand.
Right.
Yeah. He brings tribal elders from. I don't even know how many different locations.
Tom and Terry are bringing Mayan elders
everywhere.
Sufi folks from Egypt.
Yep. Dogon.
Yes, Dogon. They've had.
That's
and
crazy.
Terry's the nexus.
Wow.
She's the grandmother, kind of this. Yeah. The nexus that pulls all of these kind of people together, and they've. Their events have been going on for, I think, over, close to 20 years now. And just the amount of people that have come to visit the Serpent Mound and their messages about what it is, and
Wow.
you walk around counterclockwise with their whole group, elders playing flute, there's shamanic drumming. I mean,
yeah, if you want to know a lot about that,
unbelievable.
watch Tom, an episode that Mike brought him on for a few back.
Please, yeah.
I was floored. There's just so many weird things that go on around that area, but it's just back to the energy and the
Yep.
state of that land and why there's so much lore to it because of
Yeah.
a number
What
of things.
episode is that?
11.
11.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Tom Johnson.
All right, everyone, watch episode 11. I'll be watching it.
I know I'm biased, but I mean, it's still one of my absolute
Yeah.
favorites because it's kind of nonchalant, right? Like you're saying, like it's not, he doesn't go around and be like, oh, hey, this and that. He's like, yeah, that happens. And you'd be like, but that's amazing. He's like, right.
Yeah, it's just
it is.
living in the Serpent Mound crater. That's what happens.
Experiencing it and not trying to own it and not trying to,
Right.
pervert it in any way, but just literally giving it this garden of space to really bring people to it and keep amplifying that out. And it's so cool.
Now, Luvia, when you met David Lone Bear, I know he is a legendary flute player and flute maker. Were you able to ever play with him and play flute with him on any occasion, or has he ever played for you?
He said that he was going to make me a flute.
Oh, wow.
But I heard him play a little bit, but I didn't play with him. I didn't have my flute at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And and the one that he had was made from his great grandfather. So out of like respect, you wouldn't play someone else's flute.
You don't ask
unless you play your own.
Right.
Yeah. You play your own, which makes sense.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, when I met him, I actually had my flute with me that I had found in Amsterdam. There was a Colorado event we did in Colorado a couple weeks before. We took this trip to Switzerland, went to Stonehenge, went to Amsterdam. We had a shoot, but then we kind of piggybacked and did some fun stuff. But the week and a half before that, this guy in this amazing venue in Loveland, Colorado, I'm hearing this sound, this flute just blaring from somewhere. I'm walking around the whole place. Where is this guy playing this flute?
Mm-hmm.
I open the bathroom door. Dude's in the bathroom playing this flute, blowing my mind. And the resident's like, hey, dude, he comes out. He's like, man, the acoustics in there are incredible.
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
I just had to play in that bathroom. We actually ran into him at DOD, and
oh yeah! That guy.
Gosh, I'm so sorry if he's
remember
listening or watching.
This whole time
right
you're
now.
telling this story,
Incredible
I'm thinking
flute
of
player.
him playing at DOD.
Yes,
I didn't know it was the same guy.
It'll
That's
come to me.
great.
Kyle, if you remember his name, please say it.
Yeah, chime in. That was really cool. I remember.
So I told him, I said, man, I would love a Native American, but it's not something I'm going to go buy on Amazon. He goes, no,
Right.
absolutely not. Now, put out the intention to this flute to come to you.
Right.
Once you put it out there that this flute is going to enter your life, dude, it'll happen. And then I did that night. There was this like big fire they had, and I was just like, you know what? The guy said, put the intention out there. So I did that night. A week and a half later, I'm in Amsterdam walking around this smart shop, and they have all this little dusty corner, this big cabinet, and there's these two little unicorn like earring sets and a jade Buddha earring. So I bought those for my daughters. And then right below that, and then I bought my wife, there's this set of 3 Buddha necklaces. And then right below that is this dusty
triples
old flute sitting below.
Right.
And I waved the lady over, and I was like, hey, is this, what can you tell me about this? She goes, it's been here forever. It's been here for over 25 years. I have no clue where it came from.
Just on layaway for you.
I know it's South American because of the
What?
condor on it.
That's
and
awesome.
that's really all I know. So she's like, I've been told this is a condor. It's South American. And if you look here, wherever he was very humid because his left finger that rests, this finger has essentially where the lacquer has worn off, and there's a fingerprint on that part of the flute.
And the oil of your fingertips.
Mm-hmm. So it kind of wears away. And she's like, this guy must have played this flute for a very long time.
Yep.
We don't know how it ended up here. And I said, well, how much do you want for it? And she gave me a price and said, I'm going to take that. That's mine.
That's the way to
bought
do
it, flew it back in my suitcase, all kind of packed up. And so when I met David, I had my flute with me, and I said, hey, man, I know you're a flute maker. You play flute. Could you take a look at my flute and maybe tell me about it? And he's like, sure, absolutely. So I showed him my flute, and he looks at it, looks it up and down. You've got a really nice flute, says that to me. He's
Whoa.
like, this has age. It's definitely old. And this is a very, very nice flute. And I said, wow. I said, would you want to play it? He said, sure. So he sat there, and I'm like, I'm going to let this guy play. I don't really care if it's a legend flute player like that. So I was honored to have David play. It was really windy in the park. So if he had a nice, but the wind catches the end of the flute. But anyways, my flute.
It's interesting that you manifested that. And what if that was your flute? And that you had to remember that you had to bring it towards you.
Well,
what if that was
told.
your own?
This is your flute, and I'd met, gosh, why can't I remember dude's name? But years later, Yindon.
There you go.
Yindon.
Yes. Might be why you didn't remember.
And we recorded his session, and Sam recorded him playing my flute.
Yeah.
And incredible recording we have from him, but he's super stoked that we're doing this, and he knows, like, back then it was kind of like, talk to him about the path that we were on, the strange road that we were on at that point,
right?
But he would be incredible to have on to do a demonstration like Emel sometime.
Oh yeah.
But years later, I ran into him, Emel Lauviah, and I said, hey, I found the flute. I got the flute. He's like, no way. Where did you find your flute? I said, in Amsterdam. He's like, what? I got to hear this story. So I tell Yindon the whole story. He's like, are you kidding me? And then I had the flute, and then he played my flute, and we recorded him. He's like, dude, this flute is incredible. Like, this thing is sweet.
It's another movie title.
I just had a gut
Where did
feeling.
you find your flute?
Right.
I mean, it's like Harry Potter and the wand selecting you.
Can you tell us about your flute a little bit more, Luvia?
This one, yeah. So I actually got this from a shop in London near Waterloo.
So cool.
Had been looking for a flute when I discovered a beautiful set in Brighton, and at the time I couldn't afford to get one, and I really wanted to get one, so I went online. I did buy a flute from a flute maker. I wanted it out of cedarwood. I wanted it made by an authentic flute maker, and so I had it in my mind. And then unfortunately that flute never came. I got a refund. And then I found this shop in London, and I was playing around with a whole bunch of different flutes, and this was the one that resonated the most, and it has turquoise embedded within it.
Oh wow.
Here. And then, and it had, the eagle here. And I just felt a connection to this one. And I felt a connection to this one because even before I discovered a flute, I had a dream that I was playing a flute. Before I discovered flutes or high spirit flutes, I was playing this flute that was kind of like went out and it went down and out, and it was very long, and it had a very unusual fingering, and I was playing it, and it had such a powerful resonance. And I was like, I woke up and I tried to draw it. I was like, I've got to find this flute. And I did find it. There is an old music shop somewhere that an old friend of mine had shown me. So this actual flute existed, and then I manifested this one, a bit like you, Mike. And this flute for me had opened up a lot of heart energy, and for others as well, because every time I've played it in the parks, random strangers will say, "Oh, it feels like this chest area is vibrating," because it has a certain resonance that's targeting, the breath, which is near the lungs. So the breath of the tree, or our breath is given by the air of the tree. We have breath because of the tree, which is then made into wood. And I love that philosophy.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like that flute was meant to be in your hands. That was meant for you. and only you. I mean, I feel like you just know how to play that flute.
It came very instinctively, like a bit of practice. And, I had a guy called, that was David, and another David, funny enough. And he unfortunately passed away, but he was trying to give me some lessons, trying to teach me. So I took some of his notes, but pretty much I'm self-taught. I play what I feel. And we should all play how we feel, whether we sing, whether we drum, whether we hum. There's no way of making perfection out of it. It's just, it all comes from your own, it comes from you,
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. And, some people try to write music or play music to, I guess, make it big or try to get famous. Or
the whole thing about it.
And just like play
you're making it to make
tunes money that you like, that you love,
right.
and other people will resonate with it. Trying to cater your music to what other people want, I don't think has ever worked out.
Well, that happens to bands because they make music that they wanted to make.
Yeah.
But now you've got to make
write
music.
The hits, bro.
And so now they look at it like, oh, we've got to keep chasing that high or that dragon or this or that. And it's like, if you stay true to yourself and what you're doing in that direction, again, are you doing a positive or a negative to yourself? Are you feeling good about it? Are you doing an impactful change? And talk to those artists that have gone that route that go, it was the biggest mistake. We didn't like that music. We were just trying to make it to make the radio and make the charts, and we had an obligation to a contract. And again, like really say artists that used to paint paintings that none of them made a lot of money when they were alive. They all died, and then they're famous afterwards because people recognize like, oh my God, there's so much beauty in this because they were making stuff they believed in it, they loved, and for that purpose. And if you do that, the money will follow.
Right.
You don't have to chase the money. The money will find you if you're following your purpose on that level of,
right.
It doesn't work the other way. Or at least it doesn't have as much raw energy to it. It feels
Think about
fake.
You're in a world of infinite possibilities. You're a part of the whole, which is all things universal. What is universal energy? It is quantum. It is where all things that manifest themselves through your thoughts and your words. So take that, learn from what I've just said, like learn from what you guys are saying, and know that you only limit yourself by your thoughts. And it is birthed from your creativity. You've got to have that thought through my creativeness, whether I read a book and I want to create something out of it, or I want to build something, however you feel. Everyone has such amazing skills. That's the path.
Do you think it's like self-limiting? We're as we get older and we're like, well, we have to have a job and we have to make money to provide for ourselves, and we limit ourselves. Sure. And I saw this video today on This Is So Weird about ticks in a jar, and they are jumping. They're jumping out of the jar, and the scientist comes up and he screws the lid on and he leaves it on for 3 days. This is so weird. Leaves it on for 3 days. Comes back, takes that lid off. Those ticks will never jump out of that jar again. They've had a ceiling, they've rewired themselves, and they will never try to jump out of that bottle again. You can take them out of the bottle and they still would, that's as high as they'll ever jump. And so it's that self-limitation of, I have to do it this way, or, it has to be that way. I always joke with people, not everybody's a great singer. Sure they are. You know why I say that? Louis Armstrong sounded in his own unique way beautiful, but that voice, I wouldn't come out right and be like, oh my gosh, it sounds like he
knew how to push it.
Eating a peanut butter sandwich and trying to sing. I love the voice myself, but you get what I'm saying? Like, there are different spectrums to what people think that perfection level has to be, or what range it has to be in, or how their voice needs to sound. Again, try to do your own.
Right.
Yes. You limit yourself. And for some reason, what came to me is the Ark of the Covenant. There's an ark. We are all in an ark. The ark, or Noah, what containment have we put ourselves in, or what containment are we in? And one of the things that you learn is actually we're living in a world that is based on a maritime law. We're in a containment, we're on the Holy See. There is actually a deeper esoteric teaching there, that I went into, that I delved into, and everyone can look into that. gemstoneuniversity.com. There's a lot of stuff on there that you can see, and that was a part of the awakening. Like, so if you can understand what you're in, you can break out of limitation.
Right.
You just need to look a little bit deeper, because we're all connected to the whole. Natural law is the true law. Man-made law is fake.
100%.
Very well put.
100%. I totally resonate with that. Just keep your antenna up.
There are innate laws of nature that it's the whole, like, you can have a commandment to say thou shalt not kill, or you could just say, you know what, it's not right for me to go ahead and just slaughter Mikey over here.
Right?
Like,
yeah,
right.
It doesn't feel right.
What's your moral compass, internal guidance say? What, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, people just get that. You're tuned in. So people take their dial and they're tuning it like halfway in between a radio station that you can kind of hear, but you can't. So it's like, are our brains just this essentially like the antenna for all these frequencies and all of, and consciousness is the thing. The sound is the consciousness. The light is the consciousness. The energy, the spaces in between space are in are all that.
Yes.
But the brain is just like tuning into all of those external, what we call energies, or whatever you want to call them, the quantum stuff.
You experiencing the universe gives the universe its existence as well.
The universe is mental.
Right.
Back to Thoth.
So if you weren't here to experience it, it's like, does a tree fall in the woods and make noise? Like, if you're not here to experience it, does the universe exist?
Right. Well, so the universe is mental based off of your experience as a part of the universe as a whole, because you are the universe. Yeah. Everybody is the universe itself.
Yeah.
And that's the old guy. But we are all connected. It seems so woo. Yeah. It's not even woo woo. It's like, you hear that and you're like, oh, come on, give me a break. But you read the ancient texts, and like you were talking about the flower of life, that is the universal symbol for connection. Like, that's the mathematical frequency of everything that does connect us, from what I understand. It's just in that symbol, that form of something that you can actually see.
Right.
So it's this symbol that's working on your subconscious.
Yeah.
And that's all really, I mean, people see symbols.
Well, what's interesting is, like, you know, like, I think David had once said to me, Emel, I want you at this event talk about what God is to you. What? Okay. And he goes, you'll be able to talk about it. And yeah, there is more of there's more to it than just being God, because when I was eating a lot of the plants that I found, I kept on getting know thyself human, know thyself human. And I'm like, what's going on? And then I realized that actually, could this be what they call the God particle? And I've written, you know, part of it is like, the plant's protein shape is essential and necessary for its function to work perfectly. The carbon molecule form is made of orbitals, which move in a circle, a bit like how our planets move around the sun. Mm-hmm. Carbon electrons circulate the nucleus constantly. There is a circular and elliptical oval motion. You're probably thinking inside us is a constant movement of atoms, like a mini Milky Way. Yes. Mm-hmm. What does this mean? It means that our bodies are full of energy, constantly vibrating, moving, and dancing as Earth moves around the sun. And divine measurement is a movement of flowing energies in sequence, seen in numbers, shapes, sounds, and colors.
There you go.
And I'll leave it here.
There you go. That's it. I mean, I think that's this conversation in summary.
Right.
Beautifully said. I mean,
yeah, pretty succinct.
Absolutely. Yeah. Honestly, Emel Lauviah, I'm sorry. We would love. I just know. I'm struggling.
Every time you do it, though, it's great, because she's like, you'll do it, and you're like, Emel Lauviah.
I'm sorry.
Your brain is going. Your brain is like.
because I know
it's been cracking me up.
I get it. It's like I get like that though. It's like you're
so
feeding
good.
into everything. You know, everything that you're feeling is just like what you've already seen in aspect. You know, through your journeys. And
Yeah.
it's wonderful. Yeah.
Now, I noticed that you have a Facebook Live this Saturday.
Oh, cool.
We put the link in our description, so if anybody wants to check that out, you totally should. Did you want to talk a little bit about that live stream that you have coming up Saturday and is this something that you've been doing for a while? Is this something new? We'd love to know more.
This is something new.
Okay,
I have been doing sound journeys for a while in person, but this is something new because someone emailed me that they want to understand themselves more and be in a community, and they like the sounds and the songs that I'm putting out there.
Yeah.
And they want to be a part of that. And so that was me understanding a spirit speaking through them for me to listen.
Oh, cool.
And take that on board and not neglect it. And so I thought, well, there's only one thing to do. Put on this event and there'll be a sound journey. My partner will play the bansuri flute. We will have certain hertz and frequencies played in. We will have mantras where everyone can sing, and it will be very much to uplift you, to put you in touch with yourself, to also feel a part of the community. And if you wish to reach out to me, you're more than welcome. I'm here.
Amazing. I'm definitely tuning in. 100%. I mean,
excellent.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, and I'll keep sharing the link throughout the week as well.
Absolutely. We'll put it out on everything.
Yep, absolutely. We will.
Great. Thank you.
Push it out. Try to get as many people over to that because I think, if you're new to this kind of stuff, I have a little bit of experience with, sound therapy, shamanic flute drumming, and, the bowls. And if you haven't experienced or maybe popped on Spotify, there's a lot of really cool music that you can tune into just anywhere. But to have someone like Luvia play with you in kind of this kind of setting,
it's a different experience.
Put some good headphones on.
Yeah, that's
and
very
go
important.
in deep. You've got a good pair of headphones. Plug that in, lay back, and I'm guessing it's sort of what we did today, where you're kind of guiding a meditation, so you're having folks close their eyes and get kind of comfortable and lock in.
Yeah.
Lock in, and then eventually we'll work through when they can sing, they can sing along as well.
Very cool.
So awesome.
I think it's going to go over really well. I think you're going to see a positive reaction from this. So keep doing it because we'll definitely tune in this weekend. And like I said, give it quite a bit of love.
I want to raise the awareness for the work that she's doing and the stuff that I think you're uncovering. And the way that you're able to explain this stuff, I haven't been able to have anybody talk me through it because, again, I'm not a musician. I play around on the flute, and I love that. And
you have a pretty good ear, though.
I love music, and my biological father was a really good guitar player and musician. That, from what I understand, but I didn't get that kind of traditional like you play guitar and Emel, you sing, and but I know what I hear is when it's good for me. Most of the time, the music that I like, if I share with folks, they enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
But I think it's this stuff, and it's music, but it's more than that. I think more people need to hear this kind of stuff.
I think it's like, like they always say 4D chess. That's what it reminds me of. It's like interdimensional music.
Yes.
It literally takes you to different dimensions. If, again, you're
open.
Willing to let it do
You come in skeptical, and you've got kind of a...
You can't have a dog running around the house or somebody mowing the lawn outside. Or that's why we say you need headphones that really do just let you... cut off the soundscape. Like I wear my Bose noise canceling ones when I used to listen to different, pineal activation frequency, different chakra frequencies on YouTube. I would just, put on an hour long and I would just meditate. And it was, I wish I still did it. I wish I had time to do it. But you really do need that kind of commitment level of, can't have somebody coming in and open the door like, hey, what do you want for dinner? No, like, give me 30 minutes to an hour. I'm just going to literally sit down and listen to music and not move. And I'm fine, and I'm having a great time, but just leave me alone.
Yep.
And it's important to make that time.
Mm-hmm.
Just make that time, and that's why I'm going to do this once every week. and that will enable people for the hour. Here's something. Just follow me, follow we. And, when your mind is full, there's no room for anything else.
Right.
Think of it as a room. If your room is so full of stuff, you can't put anything else in it. So the more that you can try to empty your mind, the more that you can actually absorb. This is a key thing.
Yeah, and that's something probably really overlooked by a lot of people that don't ever really
of people
physically think of their mind as a storage center that has a limit to what we can take on and keep thinking of. And you wear yourself out and you get tired and wonder why. And
get burnt out.
Clear your mind.
You're not, you're not clearing just your mind, but your entire
It's scientifically
body.
proven that if you stress out, you will create knotting in the brain. You end up frying your own brain through fear and stress.
Wow.
And
Totally
all this
makes
stuff.
sense.
Do not fry your brain. Don't get it knotted. Do yourself a favor.
And if it is
Do
knotted,
not fry your brain.
listen to Luvia's flute music to get it untied. I think of that Maniac McGee book where he's like an all-time giant knot on, that's what you're doing. You're like Maniac McGee untying the big giant knot in the book.
Maniac McGee.
Oh my God.
We have a lot of references, random references.
I remember that book
up.
for cinnamon rolls for some reason. There were cinnamon rolls in it. That was probably like 4th grade.
Right.
Mike and I have known each other
3rd grade.
a long time. So our references go archaically far back.
Luvia, is there anything else you would like to leave us with? Any last note, where we can find you, last words?
Absolutely.
More about your event, what time it is.
Yes, so the event will be, obviously, it depends on UK time. It's 2 a.m., but for Costa Rican time, it's going to be around 2 p.m. But just double check, go into the link, and it will correct itself for your time zone.
Okay.
Because it's going to be alive, and it will give you the time. If you're still confused, I guess your guys can reach out to you, or they can reach out to me. I've got Instagram, which is still as Emel_Michael, and it's Luvia at the top, so you can find me. And my website is www.emelswonderland.com. Again, you can reach out to me on there and become a member, where you'll have access to free tracks. You'll have access to vocal coach videos, and also some herbal courses, like a herbal course for you.
Cool.
Very cool.
And we'll have like a closing prayer that I just want to say thank you to you both for creating a space.
Thank you.
For people to get together, for sharing your stories and allowing others to share their stories. We're all aiming for the same goal, to grow and listen to each other, and in kindness and compassion and happiness. And I like to say a little prayer. I wish harmony, love, truth, and justice to all my brothers and sisters. With the united forces of the silent vibrations of our thoughts, we are strong, healthy, and happy, thus forming a link of universal fraternity. I am happy and at peace with the whole universe, and I wish that all beings realize their most intimate aspirations. I give thanks to my invisible father and mother for having established harmony, happiness, truth, and justice among all children. So be it. Aho.
Very good.
Aho.
Very good. Thank you so much, Emel. This has been
awesome.
Incredible. I'm not going to go to bed again tonight. I'm going to be just my brain's going to be running and
there's no sleep.
No.
I'll
wake up tomorrow and feel great still, but I'm not going to go to bed.
You have to empty your mind. Empty your mind.
Maybe I'll bring my Bose home tonight with me and I'll listen to some frequencies.
And you have recorded music on your website as well.
Yeah, I want to check that out.
Is there any other places?
On Spotify as well.
Yes.
Spotify. There is more coming, and the lives are there for free. And if anyone wishes to donate, they can through my Patreon.
Nice.
But there will be more to come in time as I'm here working on those things.
Yes. We'll be patiently waiting. But until then, I think anybody listening to this, those of you listening and watching, go check out all of Emel's stuff.
I want to make sure the Spotify
All of
one,
her
is it
music.
just your name for the Spotify?
Emel Michael.
Gotcha.
Emel Michael, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yes.
My birth name.
Yep.
Well, I
Please,
think that's the
thank
one.
you.
There we go. Yeah, just subscribe.
Yeah,
Perfect.
follow, subscribe.
Might listen to some of that. Put my headphones on tonight.
Check out.
I even have some readouts of Thoth. I'm going through the Emerald
cool.
tablets and doing readouts.
Oh, awesome.
I'll be putting that on. You can have access to the full version on the website. So
EmelsWonderland.com. Okay.
Okay. Perfect. And I need to update that in the description.
We will add all of that to the show.
Yep. I didn't have the updated website, so I'll make sure right after this to update that for you guys. And we will make.
If you're watching, if you enjoyed this, if you like this, please check her out, subscribe, show her some love.
Yep.
Subscribe.
Like she's saying, she echoed the same thing we always say. We're always trying to help everybody kind of amplify themselves, right? And
help these guys do what they do, because you guys are wonderful, and I'm very grateful.
Thank you so much. Your music playing, the conversation, it was all just so awesome, and we just appreciate the heck out of you and everything that you're doing. Thank you again. It's been a pleasure.
Very much so. Very much so.
Thanks, guys.
We're going to need to do it again.
We will.
Yeah, we're going to have to do it again.
For us, I want to give everybody a shout out in the chat.
Thank you for hanging out.
And Kyle, I don't know if you can scroll on that, but we have our boy Necro. We have John Thorne, everybody.
John Thorne in the house.
John Thorne in the house. What's up, John? John's a good friend of ours, and Matt's, and Man in the Clouds returns.
Absolutely.
Yes, dude, good to have you.
Well, Brian Walters spotted.
Willie, and local legends Burton Moran.
Absolutely.
All you guys are, tuning in to this episode. We appreciate it so very much, and we want to thank Luvia once again.
Yeah, I think she's
just being.
I think she's thinking that we're not going to come back to her, so we should let her know we're going to come back and talk to you. But we cut you off from the rest.
Yes,
we
will
jump back in with you in just 1 second.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't go anywhere. But yeah, sorry, Mike. I didn't mean to step on.
No, it's all good.
But once again, I always like to do this because it's sometimes easy to forget, even for us out here. Kyle in the back, the wizard, the button masher, the mixer, the master, Matt Disbro. Thank you for coming down and participating in this and really helping us elevate some aspects of this show, and just keeping that energy moving and picking up some steam. So we really appreciate you guys, and again, everybody in the
everybody listening, everybody in the chat. I know I saw Justin Lamb. I can't see the whole list right now. We're kind of stuck at the bottom of it, but I know there's some great comments and conversations kind of.
Yeah, we'll go back
as they were happening. I can't wait to look into in the chat as.
What'd I tell you? What time you going to bed tonight?
Live chat replay's fun.
What time you going to bed?
Back. I'm gonna call no earlier than 3 a.m. There's no way. I mean.
That's why we do this, people. I get charged up this is like when I go run, when I used to run and I would get a runner's high and I never knew what that was like.
Yeah.
I get conversation high.
Yeah.
Immensely.
Can't shut her down. We got to shut her down.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, you want to shut this episode down?
Shut it down.
All right, let's shut her down.
Hit the shutdown.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much for hanging out.
Peace, love, kindness. We're out. Drop.